When people hear the phrase Social Security dates change, are you ready? New January schedule, it often triggers concern, curiosity, and sometimes anxiety, especially for retirees, people with disabilities, and families who rely on Social Security as a primary or even sole source of income. January is always a sensitive month because it represents both a financial reset and a psychological one. A new year begins, expenses often rise, budgets are reevaluated, and at the same time, Social Security, payment schedules, and benefit amounts can shift in ways that feel confusing. If you are not prepared, this topic is not really about panic or loss. Rather, it is about understanding how the Social Security system works, why January matters so much, and how awareness can turn uncertainty into confidence. Social Security payments in the United States follow a structured calendar that is determined long before checks or deposits are issued. These dates do not change randomly, but they can appear to change from the recipient's point of view because of how weekends, federal holidays, and program-specific rules interact with the calendar. January is unique because it includes New Year's Day, a federal holiday, and because it is the month when new annual benefit adjustments begin. This combination often results in payments arriving earlier than expected, later than expected, or on different days than the month before. For someone who plans rent, food, medicine, utilities, and family support around a specific payment date, even a small shift can feel significant. To truly understand the meaning of a new January schedule, one must first understand that Social Security is not a single uniform program. It includes retirement benefits, disability benefits, survivor benefits, and supplemental security income, commonly known as SSI. Each of these categories has its own payment logic, even though they are administered by the same agency. Many people assume that everyone receives their Social Security payment on the same day each month, but this is not true. In reality, payment dates are staggered to manage administrative flow and banking systems, and they are primarily determined by two things: when a person first began receiving benefits and, for many recipients, their date of birth. For most retirement and disability beneficiaries who started receiving benefits after the late 1990s, payments are issued on specific Wednesdays of the month. The exact Wednesday depends on the beneficiary's birthday. Those born early in the month are paid earlier, while those born later are paid later. This system usually feels stable and predictable throughout most of the year. However, January can disrupt this sense of routine. When the first day of January falls on a weekend or holiday, or when the month begins midweek, the spacing between payments can feel longer or shorter than usual. A payment may arrive after what feels like an extended wait, or it may come unusually early, which can create budgeting challenges if the money is spent too quickly. In addition to these regular beneficiaries, there is a group of people who are paid on a different schedule altogether. Individuals who began receiving Social Security benefits many years ago, people who receive both Social Security and SSI, certain international recipients, and individuals whose Medicare premiums are handled in specific ways may receive payments at the beginning of the month, rather than on Wednesdays. For them, January often brings an adjustment because January 1st is a federal holiday. When a payment date falls on a holiday or weekend, the Social Security Administration typically sends the payment on the previous business day. This means that instead of receiving a payment on January 1st, some people receive it in late December or early January. While this is not a loss of money, it can feel confusing because it creates the illusion of an extra payment or a missing one, depending on how closely someone is tracking dates. SSI recipients experience January changes even more noticeably. SSI is designed to support individuals with limited income and resources, and it is usually paid on the first day of the month. When that day is a holiday or weekend, the payment is issued early. In some years, this means an SSI payment intended for January actually arrives in December. For people who are not informed about this system, this can be alarming. Some may fear that their January benefit has been cancelled or reduced, when in reality it has simply been advanced due to the calendar. The phrase New January Schedule is often meant to highlight this pattern and remind recipients that timing differences do not mean benefit losses. Beyond payment dates, January is also associated with changes in benefit amounts. Each year, Social Security benefits are reviewed and adjusted based on inflation trends, commonly referred to as the cost of living adjustment. When inflation rises, benefits may increase. When inflation is lower, the increase may be smaller. These adjustments usually take effect in January, which is why many people associate January with either relief or disappointment. Even a modest increase can help cover higher grocery bills, utility costs, or medical expenses, while a smaller adjustment may feel inadequate against rising prices. The key point, however, is that January marks the beginning of the new benefit level, and the payment schedule determines when recipients will actually see that change reflected in their accounts. The emotional impact of January Social Security changes should not be underestimated. For many older adults, people with disabilities, and low-income households, Social Security is not supplemental income. It is survival income. The idea that payment dates are changing can trigger fear about stability and security. This is why the question, "Are you ready?" is so important. Being ready does not mean having extra money saved or being unaffected by change. It means being informed, understanding what is happening, and planning accordingly. Knowledge becomes a form of protection against unnecessary stress. Preparation begins with awareness. Knowing your specific benefit type, your usual payment date, and how holidays affect that date allows you to anticipate changes instead of being surprised by them. Many people experience financial strain not because they lack resources, but because of timing mismatches. Rent may be due before a payment arrives, or a bill may come earlier than expected. January's altered schedule can magnify these issues if recipients are not prepared. On the other hand, those who understand the schedule can adjust bill payments, communicate with landlords or service providers, and spread expenses more evenly. Another important aspect of January's Social Security schedule is budgeting psychology. When a payment arrives early, such as in late December for a January benefit, it can be tempting to treat it as extra money. In reality, that payment still needs to last until the next scheduled deposit. Without careful planning, recipients may face a longer gap than usual between payments, which can lead to hardship. This is one of the hidden challenges of schedule changes. The money is not less, but the time it must cover is longer. Being ready means recognizing this trap and resisting the urge to spend early payments too quickly. The phrase "New January Schedule" also reflects a broader theme of change and adaptation. Social Security is often viewed as a fixed, unchanging institution, but in practice it evolves every year. Economic conditions, legislative decisions, and administrative policies all influence how and when benefits are delivered. January serves as a reminder that even stable systems require ongoing attention. Recipients who stay engaged and informed are better positioned to navigate these changes calmly. From a societal perspective, discussions about Social Security payment schedules highlight the importance of trust between institutions and the people they serve. Clear communication from authorities helps prevent misinformation and fear. At the same time, individuals have a responsibility to seek accurate information rather than relying on rumors or assumptions. Headlines that ask, "Are you ready?" are not meant to alarm but to encourage proactive thinking. They invite people to check their calendars, review their budgets, and make sure they understand what is coming. Ultimately, the topic of Social Security date changes in January is about stability through understanding. The dates may shift, holidays may intervene, and amounts may adjust, but the underlying promise of the system remains the same: to provide consistent support to those who depend on it. Readiness comes from recognizing that change in timing does not mean change in commitment. With awareness, planning, and patience, recipients can move through January with confidence rather than confusion. In this sense, the new January schedule is not a threat but an opportunity. It is an opportunity to review finances, strengthen budgeting habits, and start the year with clarity. It reminds people that financial security is not only about how much money comes in, but also about when it comes and how it is managed. When recipients understand this, they are no longer at the mercy of calendar shifts. They become active participants in their own financial stability, ready not just for January but for the year ahead.